I recently put out a video listing 12 games I believe were best served by their Quest 3 updates. I stand by that list, but at the time of this recording, over 80 games have had some form of Quest 3 enhancement, whether that be better graphics, some form of mixed reality, or both. But I'm going to wager that most of you out there don't have the time to crawl through developer notes and social media to figure out if a game has been updated and if it's worth checking out. So in the interest of helping you get the most bang for your buck and the most value from your VR gaming time, here is part 2 of the Quest 3 game update series. If you're interested in buying any of these games, consider using my Quest referral links down in the description. You'll be helping me to pay for more of these games to continue this series, as I do not own all of them on Quest. First up, Apex Construct. This originally released on PC VR 6 years ago in 2018. Apex is a sci-fi action-adventure game set in a dystopian future. You play as a reincarnated human in a world that was destroyed by an event referred to as the Shift. You're caught between two competing AIs, father and mother, and trying to discover what happened to this world and which one of them is truly to blame. To call this an action game feels like a bit of a reach. You spend more time looking for level access keycards and either passwords to terminals or batteries, both of which open doors and power elevators. The combat comes in short bursts against robotic animals, and if you're any good with bow and arrow mechanics, it's largely dull and pretty easy. As for the graphics, this game was originally ported to Quest 1 and received visual updates for Quest 2 and Quest 3. Fast Travel Games noted that the standalone version now has foliage and environmental effects enabled, some ambient environment animations like birds, butterflies, and leaves, and better looking water. For Quest 3 specifically, we get improved texture sampling and the game runs at 90 frames per second. Walking around, I couldn't just shake how old the game looks. To be fair, I felt the same way when I played the original on PC VR. The increased resolution on Quest 3 does help, but things look flat and very plasticky. Your hands, the bow and arrow, and the enemies look nice and sharp with decent detail, but nearly everything else you can interact with in the game, like the batteries, any boxes, key cards, and so on, look very blurry and lacking in detail. The lighting is still baked and nothing has shadows, unlike the PSVR 1 and PCVR versions. It's better, but still not great. To be honest, if you're looking for dystopian future games to play in VR, even with the Quest 3 update for this one, there are much better options available. Next up is Resist, a high-flying adventure that I'll go ahead and say right now is worth your time. You play as a resistance fighter named Sam Fitch, outfitted with grapple gloves that let you swing around the city fighting the drone army of an evil corporation. The story is pretty straightforward, but the gameplay here is excellent. Please ignore the terrible footage here and just imagine you're watching someone who's actually good at the game. The list of Quest 3 updates is shown when you boot the game for the first time. It's fairly long to read here, but this is not just an increase of render resolution and refresh rate, which a lot of other games have gotten. They increased the number of blank-faced civilians walking around the city, helping it to feel more lived in. All the buildings have height-dependent reflections of their surroundings. Environment effects like rain typically look pretty crappy on standalone VR games, but the rain in Resist actually looks like rain. Lights and reflections change with the time of day. They increase the particle effects on the guns and drone explosions. Basically, the game got a fresh coat of paint, making for a much better presentation of an already good looking game. At around 5 hours, Resist isn't a terribly long game, but swinging through the city is a blast and the devs smashed it with this update. Definitely worth checking out. Is there a game with a Quest 3 update you'd like me to check out? Let me know down in the comments. Then we have Shadowgate VR, the Mines of Mythrok. This is a mostly puzzle-based dungeon crawler based on the near 40-year-old black and white point-and-click adventure game. There are enemies in this game, like huge spiders that never fail to scare the crap out of me, but this game is really all about the puzzles and avoiding the myriad of traps. The Quest 3 update is all about atmosphere. Developer Zojoi seem to be hell-bent on caking the game in cobwebs. There was some before, but they're everywhere now. There's also new structures like random statues and more breakable items. A lot of standalone games can feel pretty lifeless because of the lack of objects to interact with and barren looking environments. That's not really the case here. They also added real-time lighting for your magic wand. Real-time lighting is a personal favorite of mine. I think it really adds to the immersion, and I'm seeing more and more standalone games get this on Quest 3. With this change, it feels like they removed some of the bake lighting torches that line the hallways on Quest 2, which I'm perfectly fine with. Darker hallways are creepier. The game also clearly got a bump in render resolution, everything looks sharp and super clear, the colors pop more. It's a home run of an update. Having said that, if you're more of an action junkie, the next game will be more your speed. Dungeons of Eternity is a co-op roguelike dungeon crawler that quickly became one of 2023's sleeper hits on Quest. You and up to 2 friends team up to go looting in 3 dungeon types. Green dungeons are 3 rounds of horde battles where you're tasked to collect souls for a Grim Reaper type character. Red dungeons have you running through a maze of rooms, killing enemies and looting treasure with a boss fight at the end. And blue dungeons ask you to protect the central pyramid while 3 energy crystals drain into it. For Quest 3, developer Othergate has added a toggle switch to turn on an enhanced mode for this headset. I'm flipping it back and forth in the footage here so you can see the difference. I do love having the option of the toggle. I hope more developers do this for Quest 3 moving forward. Having said that, I kinda don't like the enhancements. You can absolutely see the difference, but if anything, it looks too sharp. Like someone took the video into an editor, added a sharpen filter, and cranked it up to the point where you can see all the jaggies more prominently. Don't get me wrong, this is still a good looking game. I guess I just would have liked a happy medium setting. Also, it looks like the bloom got turned way up. You can see it here as I'm looking up at the planet. Meanwhile, the characters themselves don't really look any better and the enemies are sharper, but that doesn't mean they have more details on their bodies to feel more realized. Again, this is not an indictment on how good the game is. This game with friends is an absolute blast to play. Just saying, I don't really feel like the enhancements helped here as much as other games. That's it for this batch of games. Let me know down in the comments if there's a game with a Quest 3 update you'd like to see in a future video. If you'd like to see this series continue, drop a like on this video and share the link, well, everywhere you are. And as always, thank you for watching.